Today, we are thrilled to welcome Noel Burke, Head of Information Systems at Leitrim County Council, who will be sharing his insights to help you prepare your organisation for the future. Thanks for joining us today, Noel.
Hello there, Jessica. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Great to have you. Great to have you, Noel. Noel, as a local authority, what kind of network or recruitment challenges were you experiencing on a day-to-day basis, and how has working with FIT helped solve some of these challenges?
But I guess, like, if anyone who doesn't know where Leitrim is, it's a county over in the west of Ireland. So we're probably one of the smaller local authorities in the country. And one of our biggest challenges has always been probably a limited talent pool available to us.
Mhm.
Being a rural local authority, we compete with much larger public sector bodies like the HSE, the Civil Service, Social Department, Social Protection, and obviously other neighbouring county councils and local authorities. So over the years, we've lost several staff to those organisations. So one of the big problems we have is staff retention within the
Mhm.
ICT department. And of course, if you're losing staff, you're also losing the knowledge that goes with that, and those people go out the door. So we're fortunate at the minute to have a really good and committed team, but historically, keeping staff in IT in Leitrim has been a bit of a challenge. So, with that in mind, I guess we became aware of the Fit Apprenticeship scheme last year, and it's become quite valuable to us. We engaged with Fit last year as a way to not only kind of attract new staff, but also to retain and develop the staff that we already have. So, what we can do is we can offer them a relevant, practical career building opportunity, so that they can progress themselves and gain an additional qualification. So that's what we did. You know, I know you guys do an apprenticeship scheme in that, we could interview with you guys and you could assign us an apprenticeship
Yeah.
person. So, that's one option. But in our scenario, it's probably a little bit different in that we had an employee who's been in ICT for a number of years, expressed an interest in, improving their qualifications. And by improving their qualifications, I mean opening up new avenues to themselves,
Mhm.
for job opportunities within the organisation, rather than looking elsewhere. And it's probably good to talk about the situation that employee was in. They're been in IT for a number of years in the private sector, in the public sector with us in Leitrim County Council for a few years.
Mhm.
And, how do you go about getting a level 6 qualification in order to fulfill a higher job position? It's very hard, because you've obviously got other commitments outside of work. You've got, kids things to do, in the evening. So to do a full-time course is probably at that stage you're going, it's not possible. Whereas the Fit Apprenticeship scheme for networking um, has opened up that door to this individual, and
Yeah.
so we jumped at the chance, and they've successfully completed the first phase of that course, and they're currently back in the office with us, up until May. So there's a good balance of between academia in the college and then putting what they're learning into effect in the work environment. So it's the
Yeah.
structure, I suppose, that works well for us. They're
Yeah.
alternating between coursework, they're doing projects, they're in breakout rooms, they're completing assignments, and then they're taking that tranche of what they've learned from part of the course back into the work environment, and putting it to test. And that's all under the watchful guidance of, a mentor. So there's a bit of a mentorship scheme as part of the Fit Apprenticeship. So we'd have a guy who's looks after our networks, been there for years, very knowledgeable. And when the apprentice comes back in, they're being introduced to how the organization does things, I suppose. So they're learning
Yes.
the kind of practical aspect of it and the theory aspect of it, bringing it back in, and they're putting it to in a live environment, putting that to good use, but all under the watchful eye of a mentor. So they're
Yeah.
getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and it's funny, no, because you're after touching off so many points there that are really what the apprenticeships are about. You know what I mean? And in terms of like the limited talent pool, we do have like Fit do offer the service that we do have candidates that you can access. But I suppose our focus is more, I suppose, for this is like what you're saying about that staff retention, that upskilling initiative that we're running with the tech apprenticeships as well. And it's brilliant to see that it is utilized and used to retain staff and offer opportunities. We are in an era of, where you do have to upskill to be relevant. And, with that, you were saying about the your tech apprentice who was working in, or is working in um, Leitrim County Council, and now he has the opportunity to get the level 6. Although he'd been working in IT, this gives him the opportunity to get the level 6 whilst also was also remaining in his job,
Yeah,
which is really fantastic. And it sounds like it's a very supportive environment that you have there, because you see the value of retaining quality staff, and like you said, not losing that knowledge, which is really really important, I think, to a lot of organizations. With some things you can't necessarily write down. It is that knowledge. And the other thing I suppose you touched on was the theory, putting the theory into practice. That is a really important part of the tech apprenticeship program as well. And
yeah.
for him to understand, I suppose, his level of knowledge, and really be able to excel and look at other opportunities then outside of that. And I suppose, why did Leitrim decide? Well, I suppose you've probably answered this. Why did Leitrim decide to become a tech apprentice employer? And can you
Ah,
share
yeah,
a bit of
yeah.
that journey?
Well,
Maybe.
like from an employer's point of view, I mean, it's great from Leitrim County Council to be able to provide an opportunity to existing staff, and it also tackles our need to kind of keep retention of staff, and there's the knock-on effects. The rest of the team can see that, as an employer, they're putting time, effort, and money into
Mm,
creating something we didn't have, we are a small IT team, and we cover all the bases: cybersecurity, network, and infrastructure management, all those good parts of IT. And so we end up having to kind of, the people we have to be a bit more flexible in what they're doing. And so Leitrim County Council is obviously be flexible in what they're doing, and able to provide this avenue for existing employees, and to allow them to the time, because they're off for 3 or 4 months in the college arena, I suppose, learn the academic side of it, and then they're back in with us, and then they're back out again. So there's a kind of a dual education system going on. So
mhm,
how we heard of it, um, I suppose the LGMA probably highlighted it a lot last year, which is the local government management agency, and that they collaborating with FIT on, cybersecurity
mhm.
apprenticeships, whereas we're in the network apprenticeship. Um, so they're all very relevant at the minute, and they're, it's what all the local authorities are looking for. So in our case, it works really well for us. We're going to get an existing employee, get them to a level 6 QQI qualification, which is a, a recognised qualification,
Yeah.
that'll stand them in good stead in their career, hopefully in the council in years to come. And if it'll stand them in good stead anyway, So the structure of the FIT program, it just really works. That dual education piece, as we mentioned, where
Yeah.
they're in college and then they're applying what they've learned in a practical sense into a real live environment. So they're combining a bit of the hands-on workplace experience with the college-based learning. So
Yeah.
it's all the assessments and project work and the group sessions and the practical labs they're doing. But there's an unseen element, I suppose, that's happening in the background as they're doing the fit course, the college piece of it, in that they're collaborating with people they don't know. They're listening to tutors.
Mhm.
They're completing, working as part of a team to complete mini projects and assessments and breakout rooms. So there's that element they're probably not really considering themselves, but it's just a natural kind of development as part of the course. And then when they come back into our environment, you can kind of see
Yeah.
the way they're going, and the improvement in being part of this program. So for
Yeah.
us,
And you can hear like that investment in in these people that you have in your organization, then you can see it. And it's funny, you touched on kind of those things like the soft skills that come back from becoming more confident of working within a group setting, and those kind of things are really important as well. And also you touched on the LGMA, and just I suppose for anyone that's listening, the LGMA, we ran a program, or we're running a program currently with them for cybersecurity. So that is just solely for within the LGMA for county councils. But as Noel said, their program is computer networking. So there is accessibility for any county councils for either the LGMA programs, and also for any of the other programs that we have. And I suppose, Noel, for how was hiring computer networking, how was hiring an apprentice, how did it differ from the traditional hiring methods within the public sector
I
or service?
suppose it's quite different from a traditional recruitment approach, but in a positive way. I mean, anyone who's in local authorities probably know it's a timely kind of process to hire, to get new positions sanctioned and get them hired and get them in place. So with an apprentice, you're getting someone who has just completed an academic phase of their training, and they're genuinely eager to put the knowledge they've learned into practice. So they come in highly motivated, I'd say, ready to apply the theory that they've learned, and they do this under the guidance of someone who's a mentor, so somebody who's been doing that job for a number of years. So there's an element of you're molding the apprentice into how the organization does things. So they're not just learning the hands-on and learning how to do it in an environment, but also learning the other aspects of working in a local authority, of the beige tape and the processes you have to get through to get to the end result, and that mentor relationship. That's why that's important, because the apprentice learns not just the technical side, but the how we do things. So there's also probably a bit of fun in that, the old geeky Star
Absolutely.
Wars thing on it, where does the student become the master at some stage, and you come in with some
Yeah,
kind of shining light or something, like they're learning new processes and new
absolutely.
systems. So they're
Yeah,
coming into a local authority where we have a you know set of systems that we'll use for a number of years, and maybe they can throw a curveball and go, have you looked at it this way? So we're
yeah,
getting, there's a kind of a two-way path happening, and that happens organically, I guess, within the
yeah.
organization, when they come back from their academic side of it. Um so in
And
our case, like, we're no,
no, I
go,
was just
yeah.
going to say it makes it very innovative then. You're bringing that new innovation, new ideas, and being able to bring them into the organization, as well as learning from the mentor, and having that support as the mentor is really beneficial.
It is. Well, there's
Yeah,
I remember when I was first looking at it, it was the term that stuck in my head was earn while you learn.
yeah,
So we can pay somebody who's already has a job, but we're investing in that employee, so it's probably a bit more cost effective as well than getting, to go through an apprenticeship, than actually going out trying to get somebody, a new hire in to do that element of work. So you're getting a more rounded individual. So it's a win-win situation from our point of view, and also from the staff members' point of view.
which is brilliant. And I suppose for anyone listening, the programs are a 70-30 split, where 30% of the time they're in the educational aspect, and 70% of the time they're with the employer, in this case with Leitrim County Council. And that's where a mentor is hugely beneficial, to have somebody who can be a support, and who they can learn from throughout that time. And I suppose for any decision makers who might be considering hiring a tech apprentice this year, we're currently recruiting employers for our cybersecurity and computer networking and software development from March this year. There will be links to register your interest available in the comments, or for anyone hoping to have a zero commitment chat, please feel free to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. We'll also add my LinkedIn into the comments. So I suppose, Noel, from a computer networking perspective, what skills or qualities have tech apprentices brought to your team that have helped to respond to real-time issues?
Um, Yeah, I guess from a networking perspective, the biggest strength that to bring back is, the fresh new approach, I guess, to troubleshooting network
Mhm.
issues. So they're learning new, up to date, not that we're not up to date, but they're
I know
learning
what you mean. Yeah.
different ways and systems. They're getting
Yeah.
exposed to more and probably in lab environments. So when they come back to us, so when our guy came back, he's able to probably a modern approach to troubleshooting. He might be able to just cast a light on something new that we're not doing.
Yeah.
So um, given that he's worked in Leitrim County Council for a number of years, and even in the short term, we've seen a noticeable shift in how they diagnose, I suppose, and resolve a network issue. Also, all under the watchful eye of the mentor. So the apprenticeship training, it's introduced new techniques, I suppose, new ways of thinking, probably
Yeah.
a more structured approach to problem solving. So when somebody works in an environment for years, I suppose when you think about it, they probably develop habits of how they approach something. So, if you're taken out of that environment and put into a college-based environment, and it's all new people, new systems, new things, of course you're going to come back with ideas. So for us, there's a
Yeah.
bit of a trade-off as well, that we're getting the knowledge that our apprentice is bringing back. So they're
Yeah.
getting a probably broader methods for diagnosing faults and you know
Yeah, and they can share
do-
them with the team then as well, which is
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's actually really it's really interesting. It's really lovely to hear because that's what the upskilling initiatives are all about because people need to upskill. There is, there's lots of research at the moment. There is going to be a huge shift in people needing to upskill and bring new ideas and new innovative ideas to within their organization. So that's really, really interesting to hear. And I suppose one of the questions I want to ask you is, would you recommend hiring a tech apprentice to other employers and why?
I would, and I have, which is a nice easy answer. I mean, I would
Uh,
recommend it. I mean, it's the value to bring in is significant. I think. I mean,
yeah,
apprentices come in highly motivated. I mean, the fact that there is an apprenticeship scheme for IT now, it's something you would normally associate with tradesmen back in the
yeah,
day.
yeah,
So it shows you how hybrid working and providing new opportunities to people in ICT and in
mhm,
other areas, are evolving. That we're catering for all aspects yeah, of what they might need. And that's driving. They want to stay here, and the other staff are seeing, okay, there's money and investment, and there's the flexibility from Leitrim County Council to be able to provide that avenue.
yeah,
So they're gaining an industry standard training as well, and a level 6 qualification at the end of it,
yeah,
which will,
yeah,
that's no mean feat to be able to do
yeah,
that and earn while you learn. So
yeah,
the
yeah,
so the model itself I suppose, has strengthened our own technical capability, and it's enhanced our team's confidence, and bit of pep in the team step, that they can see that this avenue may be open for them down the line, if they wanted to do something, in especially with
yeah,
cyber security coming up and with the LGMA. So
yeah.
it ensures we're future proofing our own staff and our organization with people who are not only trained but invested in what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. That's really wonderful to hear, Noel. Yeah, and it's great to hear that it's working out really well. It's great to hear that you'd recommend it to other employers, and the knock-on effect it's having within Leitrim County Council.